Hello, I'm Harlan Voss, a 67-year-old Wyoming grandfather who poured my life into building a family legacy, only to face my wife's cold betrayal in court, demanding $8.5 million and our ranch. Worse than her affair was the web of lies, forged wills, stolen credit that tore at my soul. But I held a secret document that changed everything. What was it? I'm Harlan Voss, 67 years old, and I've spent my life building something real in Casper, Wyoming. Voss Builders, my company, rose from sweat and calluses, not luck. The family ranch, passed down from my grandfather in 1955, isn't just land. It's our blood, our legacy, a piece of Wyoming's heart. For 30 years, I thought my marriage to Verna Rae was part of that pride. But today, January 2025, in a Cheyenne courtroom, that illusion shattered. I sat on the hard bench, heart heavy as a winter storm, watching Verna Rae stand before the judge. Her voice cut sharp, colder than a January wind, demanding $8.5 million, half my company, and the ranch. "He's just lucky," she sneered, dismissing decades of my labor like it was nothing. The judge scribbled notes, and the room felt like it tilted. Luck? Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." I prepared every day, pouring my soul into this life, and she dared reduce it to chance. My jaw tightened, but I held silent, watching her every move like a hawk. Wyoming folks know ranches aren't just dirt, they're family, fought for through grit, like John Wayne riding through any storm. This wasn't divorce, it was her trying to erase my entire existence. The courtroom buzzed, her words landing like a slap. She listed assets, my contracts, my designs, my ranch, like she'd hammered the nails herself. "I built his life," she claimed, her eyes avoiding mine. I wanted to stand, to shout about the nights I spent drafting plans, the mornings hauling timber, the years proving myself. But I didn't. My father's voice echoed, "Protect what's yours, son." So I stayed calm, strategic, like waiting for the right bid on a job. The judge glanced my way, expecting a response. I gave none, letting her confidence hang there, ripe for unraveling. The crowd murmured, their outrage mirroring mine. Folks over 60 know what it's like when someone denies your life's work. Ronald Reagan's words rang true. Hard work never killed anybody. Verna Rae's greed was killing something else. Our past, our trust. I observed, calculating, knowing her boldness was a crack I'd exploit later. Back at Voss Builder's office, I slumped into my chair, the weight of the day pressing down. A thick envelope waited on my desk, her lawyer's letter. I tore it open, and my stomach churned. It called the ranch a wasteland, demanding an immediate split, with appraisals stripping it to dollars, ignoring its soul. This wasn't just betrayal, it was a knife to Wyoming's roots, to everything I'd built with Verna Rae over 30 years. Once we'd been partners, dreaming big under starlit skies. Now her cold calculations made me question if that was ever real. I didn't yell or curse. Like Lincoln facing trials, I waited for truth, planning to dig deeper. Was this the final straw? Elders know that sting, when family disputes turn sacred ground into a ledger. I gripped the letter, my mind racing, but my resolve hardening. As the paper crumpled in my hand, my phone buzzed. Merle's name lit the screen, his voice urgent. "Harlan, you need to hear this." My pulse quickened. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. Merle's urgent call from that courtroom night in January 2025 still echoed as I drove through Casper's biting February chill, the Wyoming sky gray and heavy. Verna Rae's demand for $8.5 million, and my family's ranch had left me reeling like a foundation cracked under weight. Ronald Reagan's trust but verify stung now. I'd trusted her for 30 years, built Voss Builders and a life together, never thinking to question her heart. Pulling into the office lot, my knuckles white on the wheel, I braced for Merle's news. This wasn't just a divorce, it was an assault on everything I'd poured my soul into. Inside, Merle's face was grim, his voice low. "Harlan, you need to hear this," he said, nodding toward the back office. My boots thudded on the floor as I followed, pulse quickening. He pointed to a storage room, door cracked open. "She's on the phone," he whispered. I slipped inside, back against the wall, ears sharp. Verna Rae's voice cut through, laced with a laugh, talking to Elton Gant, my business partner. Harlan's blind trust handed us this, she said, her words like a blade. They were scheming to siphon my company's data for their own startup, plotting to gut my legacy. Shock hit me hard, but I stayed silent, sharp as a Wyoming hawk, holding back. Out here, betrayal stings like losing your best ranch hand, a cut to the bone. Her mocking laugh burned as she scoffed at my 30 years of toil, twisting an old saying, "Luck favors the prepared." Prepared. I'd built every deal with late nights and hard calls, not luck. My fists tightened, but I didn't move, recalling Teddy Roosevelt's "speak softly and carry a big stick." My stick was evidence, and I'd use it right. We'd once been partners, Verna Rae and I, dreaming big under these wide skies. Now they were thieves, plotting to steal my bids. Warren Buffett's words hit home. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. They were torching theirs, and I'd make sure it cost them. I noted Elton's brag about undercutting my contracts, my quiet rage building, but my mind stayed clear, plotting like a rancher mapping a tough season. Merle stepped in after her call ended, his eyes heavy, handing me a thin folder. "Got a guy to follow them," he said. I flipped it open and my chest tightened. Photos of Verna Rae and Elton at the Casper Inn, arms linked, slipping into a room. Receipts showed charges on my company card, one I'd trusted her with years ago. The pain was raw, not just talk, but proof of their affair, their betrayal inked in grainy images. For folks my age, this hits like a betrayal of decades-long vows. I stood firm, no tears, like John Wayne staring down a storm in those old films. Benjamin Franklin's quip, "Three can keep a secret if two are dead," felt dark but true. Their secret was mine now. I tucked the photos away, resolve hardening. I needed more evidence before striking. Gripping the folder, I swore quiet vengeance, my ranch's legacy demanding I fight. In America, hard work shapes us, not greed, and theirs wouldn't erase mine. Abraham Lincoln said, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." Theirs was crumbling, and I'd expose it. As I left the room, a conference invite pinged my phone, promising networking but hinting at another blow. Little did I know it would bear their theft of my company's soul. The conference invite from that bitter February night, after uncovering Verna Rae's affair with Elton, pulled me to Casper's Industry Hall in March 2025. Wyoming's early spring air was crisp, but my mind churned, stormy with betrayal. The hall buzzed with construction folks, banners of my projects, decades of my sweat, hanging proud. Yet tension coiled in my gut as Verna Rae stepped to the stage, her smile sharp as a blade. Mark Twain's words echoed, "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." I'd started Voss Builders from nothing, but they were stealing my momentum. Despite the sting of those photos and her plotting with Elton, I walked in, head high, showing grit. In Wyoming, these gatherings celebrate hard work, not thieves, and I wasn't about to let her rewrite my story. She took the mic, voice smooth, introducing Elton as the brain behind Voss Builders' logo, a design I'd scratched out 30 years ago on a napkin fueled by late nights and dreams. The crowd clapped, some glancing my way, confused. My hand gripped the original sketch in my pocket, rage flaring as she handed him a plaque for my work. Henry Ford said, "Thinking is the hardest work there is." And that logo was my thought, my sweat, born in Wyoming's fields and sights. I wanted to storm the stage, but I held back, strategic like waiting for a market shift in business. Verna Rae and I had once been partners, building a life together. Now, she erased me publicly, a betrayal folks my age know too well, when family firms strip your credit. This wasn't just theft, it was the flood breaking the dam, tying her affair to a deeper scheme. After her speech, a loyal client, Tom, approached, brow furrowed. "Harlan, why's Verna Rae calling Elton the leader?" he asked, voice low. Later, my phone rang, another client, Sue, echoing the same doubt, questioning my role in deals I'd closed myself. The pain cut sharp, like ripples spreading in a Wyoming creek, her lies tainting my name. I kept calm, no weakness, just a nod to Tom and a steady answer to Sue, gathering intel. Benjamin Franklin's wisdom hit hard. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Their doubts confirmed the damage, public now, and fueled my resolve. Elders know how reputations, built slow, can crumble fast. This was my turning point. I'd collect the proof to strike back. Clutching that sketch, I swore to reclaim what was mine, sensing darker schemes lurking. In America, pioneers like me endure, as Will Rogers said. Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. I wasn't sitting. Dwight Eisenhower's words rang. Motivation is the art of getting people to do what you want because they want to do it. They'd motivated my fight. As the doubts piled up, an old envelope arrived at the office, hinting at tampering with my father's will. Little did I know it would expose a betrayal from before his death. That old envelope from the March conference, hinting at tampering with my father's will, still burned in my mind as I stepped into the Casper venue for Voss Builder's 30th anniversary party in April 2025. Wyoming's cool spring air brushed my face, but my thoughts were heavy with Verna Rae's betrayal, her affair with Elton, her lies at the conference. The hall glowed with banners showcasing my projects, deals I'd won through decades of grit. Guests mingled, their chatter warm but uneased gnawed at me, her distance growing colder by the day. I approached the name tag table, heart sinking as I picked mine up. Harlan Voss, assistant. Assistant? After building this company from nothing? Eleanor Roosevelt's words hit hard. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. They were testing me now, and I wouldn't consent. In Wyoming, these events honor legacy, not tear it down. I kept my cool, but guests' whispers and glances stung, amplifying the insult. As the night unfolded, folks approached, mistaking me for staff. "Can you grab a drink?" one asked, chuckling. Laughter rippled, and my face burned. Across the room, Verna Rae smiled, standing close to Elton, their alliance clear as day. My hand slid to my pocket, gripping my father's old founder badge, the real symbol of my work. The humiliation peaked, but I held back, sharp as a chess master waiting for the right move. Bobby Fischer said, "I like the moment when I break a man's ego, and I'd break theirs, not mine." This wasn't just a tag, it erased my designs, my bids, my life's work, a slight any elder knows from family businesses turned sour. I caught Verna Rae's eye and approached her quietly, voice low but steel. "This ends tonight," I said. "You're crossing lines that'll break us." Merle found me later, pulling me to a quiet corner near the bar. His face was tight, voice barely above a whisper. "She ordered the tag change," he said, handing me a scribbled note. "Told the planner to reduce your role." My chest tightened. Deliberate sabotage, like tossing fuel on a Wyoming wildfire. Merle looked torn, loyal but shaken, saying he'd overheard her call. The pain cut deeper, not a mistake but a calculated move to shrink me. I nodded, calm as stone. "We'll handle this my way," I told him, showing my smarts in building allies. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words rang true. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge. This was my challenge, and I'd meet it head on. I faced Verna Rae at the party's edge, her smile faltering as I spoke. "Your games threaten everything we built," I warned. "Choose wisely." In America, families endure through respect, and as George Washington urged vigilance, I was watching. Their next move would meet my counter. As guests drifted out, Elton's voice carried through the hall, boasting of overtaking my legacy. Little did I know, those words would ignite a war I was ready to fight. Elton's boast from the anniversary party still echoed in my head as I slipped into Voss Builder's office that May evening in 2025, the Wyoming wind howling outside like a warning. The sting of that assistant name tag and Merle's confession about Verna Rae's orders burned fresh, pushing me to act. My office, usually a sanctuary of plans and contracts, felt like a battlefield now, the air thick with betrayal. I positioned myself near the back door, where voices carried through the empty halls. Sun Tzu's advice rang clear: know your enemy. I'd know mine tonight. In places like Wyoming, boasts don't honor, they expose weakness, and I was ready to hear Elton's. His voice drifted from the conference room, loud and smug, talking to some associate. "Harlan's outdated methods are done," he laughed, bragging about overtaking my company with my own client lists. My fists clenched in the shadows, each word a twist of the knife deeper than the conference lies or party slights. I'd built this firm with years of grit, late nights poring over blueprints, and he mocked it like a cheap win. I wanted to barge in, but I held back, sharp as a poker player with aces. Warren Buffett said, "Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing." Elton didn't know I was listening. Verna Rae and he were once allies, sharing my vision. Now they were rivals, stealing my life's work. Andrew Carnegie's words hit hard. Teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision. Their vision was to bury mine. I stepped out, voice steady as stone. "Your boasts end here, Elton," I said. "You're playing with fire." He froze, phone still in hand, as I moved to my desk and logged into the company server. Something told me to check Verna Rae's emails, and there it was, a trail of messages to Elton, listing my assets as easy grabs. My heart pounded as I scanned their cold calculations, valuations of the ranch, my contracts, even equipment, all marked for their new venture. The indignation hit like a Wyoming storm, not just words now, but a documented plot to strip me bare. I printed the emails, each page fuel for my fire. Richard Nixon's downfall taught us, it's not the crime, it's the cover-up. Their emails were the cover-up, and I had them. I turned to Elton, still stammering, and said, "This betrayal severs us. Expect consequences." My voice didn't waver, no weakness shown, just a rancher's resolve facing a thief. Holding those pages, I knew the game was over. Their greed blinded them, but in America, integrity wins. Thomas Jefferson wrote, "Honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom," and I was writing mine. No retreat now. Their next act would meet my counter. As Elton slunk out, I found a misplaced disc labeled Anniversary Tribute. Its contents, praising him over me, would ignite an unbreakable resolve. That misplaced disc from Elton's boasts last month haunted me as I stepped into the anniversary hall in Casper, June 2025. Wyoming's summer warmth lingered outside, but inside, tension simmered like a storm brewing. The hall glowed with banners of my designs, bridges, homes, decades of my sweat. Yet Verna Rae stood center stage, Elton hovering nearby, their schemes thick in the air. I'd come expecting my tribute video, a nod to 30 years of toil, something to honor the grit Thomas Edison described. Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. But my gut twisted, sensing another blow. In Wyoming, these events lift up builders, not erase them. Despite their betrayals, the affair, the emails, the assistant tag, I walked in, head high, ready to face whatever they'd planned. The lights dimmed and the screen flickered. My video, meant to showcase my journey, didn't play. Instead, Verna Rae cued a slick montage praising Elton as the visionary, using footage of my projects, my bridges, my contracts, without a whisper of my name. The crowd clapped, some puzzled, their eyes darting to me. My hand gripped the USB in my pocket, the original tribute I'd crafted, and fury burned hot. Henry David Thoreau said, "It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see." They saw a lie, but I saw their sabotage clear as day. I wanted to storm the stage, but I held back, sharp as a strategist waiting for the right moment. This wasn't just a video, it was my story, erased in public, a wound any elder knows when family or partners rewrite your legacy. I stepped toward the stage's edge, voice firm but low. "This farce dishonors the true builder, me," I said, eyes locked on Verna Rae. After the video, a guest, old friend Clara, cornered me near the bar. "Harlan, why weren't you in that tribute?" she asked, brow furrowed. Another guest, Jim, chimed in, echoing her confusion. "They made it sound like Elton built this company." The hurt cut deep, their questions confirming the public wipeout of my role like salt in a Wyoming wound. I kept my composure, no despair, just facts. "That's not the real story," I told Clara, steady as stone. Maya Angelou's words rang true. "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated." I pulled Verna Rae aside, away from the crowd, my voice cold. "Your erasures stop now," I said. "The truth will out." Her eyes flickered, but I stood unyielding, no weakness shown, just a rancher facing down a thief. My words to Clara lingered. "The real story's mine. Watch it unfold." In America, truth prevails, as John Adams said. Facts are stubborn things. I wouldn't stay in shadows. Their fraud would meet light. As guests dispersed, my phone pinged with a bank alert, hinting at a forged document threatening everything. Their next move had landed, and I was ready. That bank alert from the June anniversary haul, hinting at a forged document, drove me to the back room of Voss Builders that July night in 2025. Wyoming's summer heat pressed against the windows, but my mind churned colder, still raw from Verna Rae's erasure of my tribute video and those guest questions. I cracked open the old safe, its hinges creaking like my patience. Dust swirled as I pulled out files, landing on a $3 million contract from a key project years ago, one I'd fought tooth and nail to win. Scanning it, my heart sank. The signatures looked wrong, tampered. This wasn't just another slight like the assistant tag or stolen logo. It was a deliberate stab at my foundation. Albert Einstein said, "Anyone who never made a mistake has never tried anything new." But this was no mistake. It was theft. In Wyoming, contracts are sacred, not toys for thieves. My phone buzzed again, another bank alert, tying this to a bigger scheme. I laid the original contract beside a recent copy Elton had used in a pitch. My name was gone, swapped for his, as if I hadn't shaken hands with that client, sealed that deal through late-night bids. My blood boiled, but I stayed methodical, noting every discrepancy, dates, fonts, initials. This forgery wasn't just stealing credit, it threatened the company I'd built from nothing. I held back panic, sharp as ever, recalling Thomas Jefferson's warning, "Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty." My assets, my liberty, were under siege. Verna Rae and Elton's schemes, affair, emails, video, built to this. I called Merle, voice steady. "We've got proof," I said. "Time to act." He confirmed seeing Elton with the altered contract, his loyalty a lifeline. My defiance grew, no concessions, just a rancher guarding his herd. That bank alert nagged, so I drove to the Casper branch, the manager's office stark under fluorescent lights. He showed me a loan application using my forged contract as collateral for Elton's new venture. My name was erased, my credit on the line. Outrage flared. This wasn't just theft, but a reckless grab risking everything I'd built. I leaned forward, voice firm. "Freeze this now," I told the manager. No hint of a victim, just command. He nodded, shaken, and started the process. J. Edgar Hoover's words hit home. Justice is incidental to law and order. I was restoring order. I fired off a message to Elton. "Your fraud stops. Evidence mounts against you." His silence screamed guilt. Elders know fraud's toll. Decades of trust shattered in a moment. Securing the contract, I vowed to escalate. In America, integrity outlasts deceit, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. I'd protect mine. As the bank sorted the mess, an old envelope arrived at the office, its seal heavy with secrets from my father's final days. Their next betrayal was already waiting. That envelope from my father's days, found after the bank fraud in July, drew me to the ranch house that August night in 2025. Wyoming's summer heat pressed against the fields, but my mind churned colder, still raw from Elton's forged contract and Verna Rae's relentless schemes. I sat at my father's old desk, the wood worn from his hands, seeking answers in the quiet. Dust stirred as I pried open a locked drawer, revealing an envelope marked Will. My heart sank. It was distinct from the contracts and videos, a deeper cut into my family's core. I opened it carefully, scanning pages where my name as sole heir was scratched out, alterations glaring like a brand on my legacy. Grief hit hard, mixed with fury, for my father's final wishes twisted. In Wyoming, wills bind generations, not bend to greed. George Washington's words stung. "Let your heart feel for the afflictions and distress of everyone." My heart felt this affront, but I stayed calm, analyzing every mark. Comparing the original will to this altered mess, I spotted a date, after my father's illness began, when he couldn't have signed. My father's bedside words echoed, "Protect the land for blood kin." Now, someone had defiled that, threatening 70 years of our ranch's history. Fury burned, but I kept steady, noting inconsistencies, pen strokes, faded ink, like a rancher checking fence breaks. This wasn't just business theft, it was a strike at my father's trust, a betrayal elders know when inheritances turn to battlegrounds. I suppressed despair, sharp as ever, my resolve hardening. Thomas Jefferson's warning rang true. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. This was my liberty, my legacy, and I'd guard it. A loose note in the envelope hinted at outside hands, pulling me deeper into their plot. Then I found it, a letter attached, Verna Rae's handwriting to her lawyer, dated before my father's passing, demanding a share in the ranch, calling blood ties outdated. My chest tightened. Premeditated, cold ambition schemed while I grieved. The outrage roared, but I didn't flinch. I called Merle, voice steady. She tampered with the will, I said, and he confirmed, hearing her talk of revisions years back. Andrew Jackson's frontier ethos hit home. Defend your plot, no matter the cost. I drove to Verna Rae's place, the letter in hand, and faced her. Your meddling ends, I said, voice like steel. This desecrates my father's memory. Her eyes darted, but I stood firm, no retreat, just a rancher facing a rustler. Her denials fell flat against the evidence I held. In America, legacies endure through vigilance. As Abraham Lincoln said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. I was creating mine now. No forgiveness for this. Their desperation would meet my response. As our argument peaked, a silent plan formed in my mind, fortifying my legal defenses. Their next move would hit a wall I'd built. The silent plan sparked by that will clash in August drove me to Voss Builder's office that September night in 2025, rain pounding the Wyoming roof like a drumbeat of resolve. Verna Rae's tampering with my father's wishes, layered atop her affair, forged contracts, and erased tributes, had pushed me past endurance. I sat at my desk, the air heavy with the scent of wet earth, and dialed my lawyer quietly, outlining a plan to lock down my assets with an LLC and trust. I reviewed company equity papers and ranch deeds, ensuring no gaps. Andrew Carnegie's words in my mind. Concentrate your energies, your thoughts, and your capital. Determination surged, my moves covert amid their schemes. In pioneer lands like Wyoming, legal shields guard hard-won gains from opportunists. As papers arrived from the lawyer, the storm outside intensified, mirroring the steel in my heart. My lawyer walked me through the LLC structure, a fortress to transfer valuable assets, company shares, the ranch, into a protected entity, leaving Verna Rae and Elton grasping at empty claims. I signed the forms in the dim office, Merle standing by as witness, his nod steady, no fanfare needed. This wasn't just defense, it was a strike to secure the ranch for bloodkin, blocking their tampering for good. Doubt crept in, could they outmaneuver this? But I pushed it aside, sharp as a chess grandmaster. Garry Kasparov said, "The highest art of the chess player lies in not allowing your opponent to show you what he can do." Like John D. Rockefeller building empires with legal savvy, I was fortifying mine. This silent shield turned my defense into a fence. No weakness shown, just a rancher locking his gates. I drove to the ranch as rain poured, papers safe in my briefcase, the storm a symbol of turmoil, but also a cleansing force. At my father's old desk, under flickering light with water streaking the windows, I finalized the signatures. His teachings on endurance echoed, keep the land, hold the line. My hand stayed steady, no tremble, despite the pain of betrayal. Franklin D. Roosevelt's words hit home. When you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. Elders know storms pass, and I was tying my knot, building a legacy that wouldn't break. This rain-soaked act wasn't just protection, it was empowerment, my stand against their greed now unshakable. Sealing the documents, I vowed their unveiling would crush their schemes. In America, preparation triumphs. As Louis Pasteur said, chance favors only the prepared mind. My mind was ready, their desperation set to unravel. As the storm cleared, a looming court date stirred, promising a chance to unleash my arsenal. Their next move would hit a wall I'd built. The legal shields forged that rainy September night armed me as I stepped into the Cheyenne courtroom in October 2025, the Wyoming sun filtering through tall windows. My briefcase felt heavy with evidence. LLC papers, trust documents, proof of Verna Rae and Elton's schemes. Across the room, Verna Rae sat stiff, Elton smirking beside her, but the judge's gavel silenced the air, thick with anticipation. Their frauds, affair, stolen logo, forged contracts, tampered will had led to this moment. Sun Tzu taught, all warfare is based on deception, but today truth would prevail. I reviewed my notes silently, steady as stone, tension coiling in my chest. In America, courtrooms are where underdogs like me, armed with facts, can triumph. Verna Rae stood, restating her demands, $8.5 million, half my company, the ranch, like a broken record, setting the stage for my counter. The judge called for my response. I rose, voice clear, and handed over folders detailing the LLC and trust, shielding my assets. These documents, I said, transfer company equity and the ranch to a blood-kin trust, predating her claims. Verna Rae's face paled as I laid out timestamps, emails, and forgeries, each page a nail in their coffin. Her objection came fast, shrill, but my lawyer countered with ironclad dates, proving my moves were airtight. Vindication surged, no weakness shown, just facts echoing Alexander Hamilton's faith in fair process. Whispers rippled through the crowd, elders among them nodding. Those who fought estate battles knew this shift. I faced the judge steady. "This reveals the truth behind their claims," I said, dropping the packet like a hammer. The judge pored over the files, then turned to Verna Rae, voice sharp. "Were you aware of these structures?" Her stammer, half denials, half ignorance, cracked her facade. Elton shifted, eyes darting as discrepancies piled up, the room hushed in shock. I stood firm, no gloating, just truth speaking, as Clarence Darrow once argued. True patriotism hates injustice in its own land. Verna Rae admitted partial knowledge, but my evidence overwhelmed her lies. Folks my age know courtroom twists can turn tides, like historic family disputes reversed by facts. The judge's question sealed their downfall, my preparation shining through. His ruling came swift, slashing her claims to nothing, assets protected, ranch safe. Satisfaction washed over me, not vengeance, just justice. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," and I'd stop theirs. The battle was won, but scars lingered. As the gavel fell, Verna Rae's hurried exit, Elton trailing, marked the start of their true reckoning. After the courtroom victory in October, I stood at my office window in November 2025, watching Verna Rae pack her car under the fading Wyoming sun. Long shadows stretched across the plains, mirroring the weight lifting from my shoulders. The judge's ruling had gutted her demands. $8.5 million slashed to $800,000, no claim to my ranch. Justice settled like dust after a storm, and I let her leave without a word, strength in my silence. Vince Lombardi's words rang true. Winners never quit, and quitters never win. In the heartland, reckonings honor grit over greed. I overheard Elton on a call outside, his voice desperate as industry contacts turned cold, his boasts now ashes. As Verna Rae's taillights vanished, my path to independence cleared, no longer tangled in their deceit. Her meager settlement was all she'd get, her schemes, from affair to forged will, unraveled. Elton's new venture crumbled. Merle told me clients had blacklisted him, his lost contracts piling up like bad debts. Meanwhile, Voss builders soared, new bids flooded in, clients praising my integrity over their lies. Letting go of those toxic ties felt like shedding a worn-out coat. Maya Angelou said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." I wasn't reduced. My strength came from within, not them. Elders watching would see it. A man, 67, standing taller after betrayal, resilient as Wyoming's open range. Merle swung by, sharing news of Elton's plea for work, rejected cold. At the ranch later, I sorted papers, wills, contracts, trusts, feeling closure settle. No regret lingered. Cutting them loose freed me. Franklin D. Roosevelt's rally cry echoed, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." I'd faced their fraud and won, my spirit pruned for growth, like a Wyoming tree after a hard winter. Their consequences unfolded without my hand, my core intact, independence sharp and clear. I vowed to keep building, my vigilance unyielding. In America, rebirth follows trials, as Thomas Paine wrote. These are the times that try men's souls. Peace wasn't full healing, but my strength endured. As the dust settled, the ranch called with new purpose, teaching kin to carry on. Their final lessons waited in those reborn fields. With Verna Rae and Elton gone from November's reckoning, I stood on the revitalized ranch under December's 2025 sun, the Wyoming breeze carrying scents of fresh earth and renewal. My mind felt clear, the courtroom victory, slashing their claims and securing my legacy, still fresh. Merle directed workers nearby, mending fences and barns, each hammer strike a symbol of rebuilding beyond their betrayals. Triumph settled deep. Verna Rae left with just $800,000, a shadow of her demands, and no hold on my ranch. Elton's boasts had crumbled, his isolation complete. Ronald Reagan's words rang true. There are no great limits to growth because there are no limits of human intelligence. In Wyoming, ranches embody resilience like pioneers staking claims through grit. My journey, from her demands to my evidence drop, had delivered justice. As my grandchild's car pulled up, the moment to pass on those lessons arrived. I walked my grandchild through the restored grounds, pointing to my grandfather's original homestead, its stones still standing. "This is ours," I said, showing the new roof and replanted fields, proof life rebuilds after storms. Their greed had backfired. My LLC, trust, and evidence turned the tables. Dale Carnegie's wisdom fit, develop success from failures. I handed over a shovel, teaching hands-on values, my independence a beacon. Elders would see it, a man of 67, unbowed, building anew. Their downfall wasn't vengeance, it was justice, clear as a Wyoming sky. Merle called later, relaying news. Elton's venture was dead, industry peers rejecting him, contracts lost as clients rallied to me. My grandchild asked about them, curious. "They chose greed," I said, no glee, just truth. Justice finds its way. On the ranch, I taught resilience, the land our classroom. Benjamin Franklin warned, "He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else." I felt no pity, only purpose. Pruning toxicity, like Wyoming trees, sets you free. My empowerment flowed, passing strength to the next generation. Satisfaction ran deep, no loose ends. Maya Angelou inspired. "You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise." No regrets lingered. My independence was forged through trials. In America, strong hearts prevail. As my grandchild nodded, our bond sealed. The ranch stood reborn, my legacy secure. Peace wasn't full healing, but my strength endured, ready for whatever lay ahead. Discover a gripping family drama story that will leave you speechless. When my wife demanded 8.5 inland and our family ranch in a bitter courtroom battle, I fought back with one shocking document that turned the tables. From betrayal and forged wills to a triumphant stand for justice, this Wyoming tale of resilience and legacy hits hard. Watch to see how truth prevailed against greed in this emotional roller coaster. Subscribe for more heart-pounding stories of triumph and family legacy.